What's up, Breeders? Welcome to the Geek Chest. My name's Steve, and today I wanted to call this an action figure news, but it's not really action figure related. It's collectible related, but not action figure related. But if you guys haven't heard, Godzilla is going to be in Magic the Gathering. Weird, I know. It's also odd because I've recently, I've in my time, I played quite a bit of Magic the Gathering. Probably 6 months ago, probably beginning of summer, I ended up selling a lot of my collection to my friend that was still playing a lot because I just wasn't getting around the tournaments anymore. And I wasn't playing at home, wasn't hanging out with him to play them, so I was like, well, you'll get more fun out of these cards. Take them. And then this happened. But what this is for Ikoria? If I'm reading this right? Ikoria? I'm horribly probably saying that wrong. But, Lairs of Behemoths. For the new set, there's going to be special Godzilla cards. The ways that you can get them is buy a box promo. So if you go to your game store, buy a box, you'll be able to get one. There's collector boosters that come 12 in a box. You'll be able to get one of those in each pack of those. Or Japanese boosters. The draft packs. You'll be able to get those. I want to say it was 12... Every 12 packs you can get a regular Godzilla card, and like every 60 you get a foil. Graphic here. But, pretty interesting stuff. Now, though, like, this sucks for me because, like, I like Magic, and I want to get them because I think they're cool, and it kind of makes me want to play Magic again, especially, like, one card in particular. We'll get into this in a little bit. It's got me kind of excited. But essentially what these are is... There's already these kind of cards in the set, because each of the monsters will have their name, and then the name of the card they actually are. And in the description of the card, it actually talks about the monster that they actually are. So if you wanted to play with them, they sort of take the place of that card in the deck, but you can still only play 4 of those cards. If you play Magic, you know. But it's kind of like a cool promo version. So, anyways, I guess we'll just start getting into this, because I kind of want to evaluate some of the cards, and I'll show you guys each of the ones that have been spoiled so far. And I'll briefly go over, like, how good I think that is. Now, if you're wondering, like, how good my opinion is, mostly my success for Magic the Gathering. Initially, I started playing in high school, very casually. Then started going to some tournaments. This is probably... the first Ravnica time, I started going to more tournaments. I actually played Legacy too back then. Won some tournaments with Slivers. So you already know where I'm getting with this. If you guys have been into the card game much, played throughout all that. Again, it's mostly casual tournaments here and there. Varied success. Didn't really start doing very well till. Oh, Scars of Meridian? When that set came out, pretty much the entire time that block was in Standard, I did fantastic. Went to a bunch of tournaments, usually made bank. Beforehand, I would usually do at least okay. Like, I could hold my own. Even played against some pros in some large tournaments, but nothing to really write home about. Scars did really great. Most noteworthy decks during that time was Mono Red, Infect... 2 versions. There was like a black-blue control deck and the mono green variant. I played both of those, did really well. And Birthing Pod. Played a lot of Birthing Pod. But I played black-green variant I really liked, that I felt beat up on a lot of the metagame. I had a really bad matchup against the actual good Birthing Pod deck. Also, probably some of the funner experiences I turned in my head during that time. Because playing Infect both times. Black-blue Infect, I had a guy throw his deck at me at the tournament and then walked out and left. It was nice. I picked up the cards, put them back on the table for the guy. He came back and apologized. But he's very upset with me. Because I think he was on like a big red deck at the time. And the deck was very obnoxiously good against that. And then mono green, I made somebody quit the tournament because he was playing. I think he was playing. He has his own Birthing Pod. I won game 1 pretty wholeheartedly. Game 2 is a slogfest. He eventually won. Game 3, I beat him on turn 2. Which was... I can't say the exact cards, but I remember it was a lot of mutagenic growths. And a turn 1 Glistener Elf. He ended up, I think I was the second match and he left. So those definitely stood out in my mind. Then after that, played here and there until Shadows over Innistrad. I got back into it. During then, I had some pretty good success with the Fever Visions deck at the time and Brain in the Jar. Brain in the Jar was my favorite deck. Play that all the time. But other than that, played a lot of Commander stuff and still fairly casual. So you can take my opinions with a grain of salt. I watch a lot of people play Magic too, because even though I'm not playing it, I still find it interesting to watch people play and see the lines of play and stuff. So I won't say I'm 100% up to date with some of the decks that are around right now, because especially with Pioneer being a thing, because Pioneer started like shortly before I left, or sorry, after I left. So those were all new, but for the most part, we'll see where this goes. Alright, so fun story. I went to edit this video, and more of the Godzilla cards came out. We got the English versions of the Japanese ones I didn't have earlier, so we're going to go over that real quick, and then finish off the list. And I think my dog's coming, so we're going to try to hurry this up. Alright, so got 19 cards to go over, so here we go. 15 core series, 1 buy a box promo, 3 Japanese ones. We'll start with the buy a box promo, which is Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is a 5 mana... 3 colorless, 1 red, 1 green, 7/3 with Trample, legendary creature Dinosaur. Lethal damage dealt to creatures you control is determined by their power rather than their toughness. Seems pretty okay. Essentially, the way the ability reads, it's pretty much a 7/7 for 5 that dies the negative effects a lot easier. It does make your other creatures that are in the same boat have more power than toughness a little bit better. I could see this being a pretty solid commander card, good and limited. Anything outside of that, I would more than likely probably try to avoid it, because I can't really see this thing being like decent and standard for the most part. But again, be a fun commander to do. Like, definitely if I get back into this because of Godzilla stuff, he'll probably be my commander and my only commander. Then we have the 3 Japanese cards. These ones I don't have the actual names of, but there's the Mothra Egg. The original card is Mysterious Egg, which is a colorless 1 mana card. That's an 0/2. Egg. Whenever this creature mutates, put a +1/+1 counter on it. If you got a lot of mutated cards limited, not too bad. I can't say it's good in anything constructed outside of that. Just because by itself, it's not a good card. Like, you never want to pay 1 mana for an 0/2 that's just going to sit around. Granted, it's got the right things going on for it being an early drop, so it's not something you're going to mutate later on. But, like, this thing would be just like a horrible top deck. And just getting a +1/+1 counter on it because you mutate, I still would rather just mutate a Mana Dork or something and along those veins. Batra is also the Japanese exclusive, which is originally the Dirge Bat, which is a 3/3 for 4 black creature, 2 colorless, double black, with Mutate, a 4 double black. So what Mutate is it kind of works like auras in a sense, where you have to target the creature, you pay the mutate cost instead of the casting cost, and then what you could do is you can either make the creature into that one, it has to be a non-human creature, or if you like that creature better, you put it underneath, but it still gets the ability, which is pretty cool. Which is a flying flash creature, so you can mutate this one with flash. Flash, you can play it at any time, like an instant. And whenever this creature mutates, destroy target creature or planeswalker and opponent controls. Seems great for a mid-range kind of style deck. I can see this being playable in standard. Because to me, the way something like this works, it would be good in like... You think it'd be good in an aggro deck, because you want something that's like low to the curve, you got some small creatures, make them into better creatures. I like the flash aspect, but most aggro decks, you generally want to top in around 4 unless you got something really good you're doing. And a 3/3 flying flash creature isn't really where you want to be. Control, I don't really see it there either. It doesn't combo with anything there, because Control, you're not going to be playing generally too many creatures to begin with, so mutating is kind of irrelevant at that point. But some kind of like John, like heavy removal kind of mid-range deck, I can see maybe using this thing. Limited, this thing's a bomb. Definitely pick it. And then finally we have the Mecha Godzilla Kiryu, which is the Crystalline Giant card originally. What this is a 3-mana 3/3 artifact, colorless artifact. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose a kind of counter at random that Crystalline Giant doesn't have on it from among flying, first strike, death touch, hexproof, lifelink, menace, reach, trample, vigilance, and +1/+1. Put a counter of that kind on Crystalline Giant. Limited. It's a 3/3 that could go in any deck, so it's a pretty solid pick. But constructed, I think the way the abilities read, it's definitely takes way too long to get this thing going. Now you could get lucky. None of these give indestructible though. Like hexproof, like it almost has it, but something for constructed. I can't really see this card really amounting to much. It's kind of sad that the rare, like it's got a lot of stuff going on, so I can kind of understand it not being uncommon, but the going rate for it, I'm not too fond of. And then again, the ability's once per turn, so it could amount to nothing. Fun card, though. And then moving on to the rest of them. These are all the standard stuff that you'll be able to get in just those normal collector booster packs. So, anyways, I guess we'll start with the fun, cute ones, and we'll move on to some of the ones I think are a little bit better. But we have Baby Godzilla Rune Reborn, which was originally Polywalk Symbiote, which explains why it's a frog creature. It's a 1/3 for 2 mana, 1 colorless, 1 blue. It's a blue creature. Each creature spell you cast costs 1 less to cast if it has Mutate. Whenever you cast a creature spell, if it has Mutate, draw a card, then discard a card. This definitely seems something more that you can include over that egg, because you get some benefits. It's got a solid body, plus it gives you casting costs. Like, this kind of goes into, if you're a mutating kind of theme style deck, this could be something you want, especially if you're in the blue color scheme. Same with playing limited. I would pick this more highly if I had more the more mutate creatures you have, the more you want to pick this highly if you're going with draft. Same with sealed. By itself, not too crazy, but it plays defense okay. So constructed really amounts to how good the mutate creatures are really going to be over with whatever else we're getting from this set. From what I've seen, I don't know good enough to include this thing, but still pretty cool. Art's super adorable. Next we have Dorat the Perfect Pet, which is originally a Sprite Dragon. It is a 1/1 for 2, 1 blue, 1 red. Fairy Dragon. Flying haste, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Sprite Dragon. This card's fantastic. This is one of the ones, like, limited, the more non-creature spells you can get, the way better it's going to be. And it also has flying and haste. Like, any kind of evasion is fantastic in limited. Constructed, I can see this thing also being a pretty good player. This is one of the cards that, if you're banking on things getting expensive, if you're going to try to, like, hedge your bets and buy this early, hoping that the price inflates later, I could see the Dorat being the one. Then it's the 3 Dorats in, so you got to get 3 of the cards anyways. But for modern, you got the prowess decks, stuff like that. I could see playing this, like Steamkin would. This could be a pretty solid card for that, because it's just a strict upgrade on prowess because you get the counters off of it. And you don't even have to be like doing like instant sorceries. You also get off enchantments and stuff, which is really cool. Pioneer, this could be in some kind of really good aggro shell, and it's just like, it's very stat aggressively. I have a hard time believing this isn't going to end up somewhere in a deck. Our next uncommon, we have Kingzisar Ancient Guardian, which was originally Huntmaster Liger, which is a 3/4 for 4 mana, 3 colorless, 1 white cat creature. Mutate 2 and a white. When this creature mutates, other creatures you control get +1 or +X until the end of turn, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated. The mutate ability is reasonably costed, because if you have a mana accelerant, you can do this turn 2, so you can make your 1/1 mana door. You can do a 3/4 on turn 2. Not too shabby. Granted, then you don't really get the +X ability. any use, but again, it's kind of like the +1/+1. I feel like isn't really the irrelevant part of this. Is like, okay, cool, I got my +1/+1, but the more you start mutating that same creature, the more times it gets the stats. Plus, you're building your board. You already got this in play, so limited, definitely. I wouldn't like slam windmill pick this thing, but it seems pretty good if you're in white. Constructed, like maybe standard. It's got a low cost, but you kind of have to. Again, it all depends on how good the mutate's going to end up being. But again, 3/4 for 3 mana, not too bad. 4 mana is kind of rough, but it's definitely a little bit ahead of the curve. Like, it's one of those ones I think could sneak up on people. Moving into the rares, we have Angerist, Armored Killer, originally Gem Razor, 4 mana, 4/4, 3 colorless, 1 green, mutates for 1 and 2 green. So you get a little bit of a cheaper cost for your 4/4. Reach and Trample, and whenever this creature mutates, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. Sideboard card. If you're into the mutate theme to begin with, could be something. I don't really see it being very main deckable though. It's got nice stats, but outside of that, constructed or limited still pretty good. Commander not too bad either. Like, I always like to destroy artifact and enchantment cards in those deck anyways, and it's got decent enough stats that I don't mind including it in that deck. Plus, again, works good off Mana Dork. You can do this thing turn 2, so Commander, like, you play your Mana Dork turn 1, they do like their Soul Ring or some kind of cheap artifact super early, and then you get to blow it up. And you get a 4/4 out of the deal. It's not too bad. We have Space Godzilla Void Invader. 8/8 for 8 mana, 6 colorless, double black. Death Touch cycling for 2 and a black. If you guys don't know cycling is you can use the ability from your hand to discard the card for the mana cost and draw a card. So if you can't play the creature for its mana cost, got a way of getting out of your hand and getting some more useful cards. But whenever you cycle Void Beckoner, which is the original card, put a Death Touch counter on target creature. This is also a new thing where they have ability counters. So before I had to be like, card would read like, creature gets +3/+3 till end of turn haste. Now you get cards that give it like +3/+3 and a trample counter. So it gets the +3/+3 till end of turn, but the counter sticks around. And so for the most part, if you guys have been playing Magic, it works just like a +1/+1 counter, or like the poison counters or negative counters. But instead of affecting the creature stats, gives it abilities. Not too bad limited. Like instant speed, Death Touch, and drawing a card's not too bad. Plus an 8/8 for 8's a really large creature. It just having Death Touch is odd. Like, I guess. Like, I don't know why they always like, just like, I have to have this like giant dumb creature that probably would have killed the thing anyways. Needs to be able to kill it 1 damage though. But if you got ways of getting trample onto it, you can abuse that ability a bit. Anything outside of limited, I want to touch this thing with Tempo Pull, but like a 1-of in like my draft deck, not too bad. Moving on to Gigant Cyberclaw Terror, legendary creature Demon Kraken, 6/6 for 6, 4 colorless, and either blue-black for the other 2 casting costs. Which was originally Garuda, also a Godzilla monster, or mech, if you will. Doom of the Depths. Has Companion, which is also a new ability. It kind of works like, if you guys ever play Commander, it's kind of like your Commander. What happens is, this would be constructed in your sideboard, and then casual would just be a thing. Like, you just make sure you have the card with your deck. And then at the beginning of the games, you shuffle your deck, and then you reveal this card to your opponent, be like, this is my deck now. Because they all have deck restrictions. So you show it to your opponent, and then you can play with this card like it was in your hand. 1 time. So for the best way to think of it, it's kind of like having an extra card in your starting hand, which is already a pretty nice ability to have. So you can cast it like you would normally could. So you need the 6 mana. It works just like it would be in your hand. When you cast it, also still works like if it was being played from your hand, so your opponent can counter it. Once it's stable, if it dies, it goes to your graveyard. If it's exiled, it goes to exile. It's done. So you only get like the 1-time use out of it. But with this one, your starting deck contains only cards with even converted mana cost. And When Garuda enters the battlefield, each player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. Put a creature card with an even converted mana cost from among those cards onto the battlefield under your control. So, nice thing, gives you card advantage. So, it can steal like the best thing your opponent has with an even converted mana cost. Your entire deck's even converted mana cost, so you're generally going to get, you're not going to whiff on it too often. So, the card's pretty much strict card advantage for a 6/6 for 6, which by itself, not bad. Constructed with those abilities, depending, like I can see it's more in a control shell more than anything, possibly sideboard, if you will. Limited, you'd have to really be able to work around that ability. Like if you feel like this is a card I wouldn't try to pick late, but then again you don't want to pick early because you don't want to be stuck with trying to find, like trying to get all even cards after from here on out, just to get the extra card in your hand. I don't think this card's gonna really see any constructed play. I'd be very hard pressed because anything outside of standard, I think you'd want to be on odds because you want to be as cost effective as possible, and you want generally as many cheap spells as you can fit in your deck. And 1 mana is usually where you want to be at. 2 standard, you can make it work. But outside of that, I just have a hard time. And my issue with this card is you were already giving, like, because you have to reveal this card to your opponent at the beginning of the match. So they already know, one, your deck can cast it, which they'll do. The thing is, they'll figure that out really quick when they're playing the game. Anyways, they'll see you're playing your lands, they'll know what mana you can make, they'll understand what options of cards you might be able to play. But this also says that the only cards I can play in my deck are 0 mana, 2 mana, 4 mana, 6 mana, 8 mana. So that already also gives them information of what kind of cards you could have available during the match. Because if you're trying to build the deck in a more controlling fashion, if you got 3 mana up, they know that you're only going to have 2 mana worth to play. So that you're not going to get double spell during that turn. If you only have 1 mana up, they know you don't have anything. And I know for me, when I used to play a lot of tournaments and stuff, that kind of information is invaluable. Because a lot of people usually net deck, especially at larger tournaments, so you can kind of, if you pay enough attention to what's going on in the community, you can kind of figure out like what they're playing. You can make pretty accurate guesses. But this also gives you information of, even if there's something cheeky, or if you already know the cards that they would be playing when they have a certain amount of mana open, you know exactly what they're playing. And I just don't want to give my opponent that much information right off the get-go. So I think a card like this is fairly dead in the water for any kind of constructed. But it's a neat little card. Like, I would love to see it happen. Moving on to Mothra Supersonic Queen. Flying. It is a 3/4 for 4 mana. White creature, 2 colorless, double whites. Flying insect. Originally was Luminous Brood Moth. I like that the cards coincide. Still a giant moth. When a creature you control without flying dies, return to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. The thing I hate about this card is that it's a flavor fail going with the Mothra Egg, because the Mothra Egg works around mutating. The Mothra has nothing to do with mutating. But what I do like about the Mothra is it fudges up combat royally. Because when you look at it, you kind of think like, okay, this kind of works with removal. If they kill my creature, I get it back with flying. Pretty awesome. Problem is, your opponent's going to target this thing. So for me, I don't think this kind of falls in the realm of I want to bring this in against like a control deck or some way to help protect my creatures in that sense. I kind of want this card when I'm going to be doing a lot of my creatures are going to be dying in combat. And just a lot of battling, and my opponent doesn't really have too much removal to begin with. Because this gives you, I think, because a card like this definitely helps you with the damage race. Because your opponents could say, you got a bunch of little chump blockers that aren't going to really be doing much, and your opponent's creatures are slightly larger. Well, your opponent's creatures attack in, you chump block, your creatures die. But then they come back with flying. So on your turn, you can attack back, you get your creatures back, plus they have evasion. Usually they'll get through with the damage. So, it also just gives you extra chump blockers at that point. So it can definitely help you with damage racing. Really kind of like fudges up with your opponent's attacks at that point, because then they're going to attack into you, and then they know that these things are coming back and you're going to do some damage. So I can see a card like this making it into constructed. Maybe like a sideboard card. So if you guys are planning on picking these up, I wouldn't go super heavy into it. But it seems like something you could bank on a little bit. Then we got Destroy a Perfect Lifeform. The original creature is Everquill Phoenix. So Destroy is a Phoenix. Weird, I know. I think that'd be Rodan. But it's a 4/4 for 4, 2 colorless, double red, so red creature. Mutates for 4, but only 3 colorless, 1 red. Flying, when this creature mutates, create a red artifact token named Feather with sacrifice for 1 mana. Return target Phoenix card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's nice that if you mutate this onto another creature, you get a one-shot opportunity, bring back your Destroyer. So in an aggro shell, this doesn't seem too bad. Kind of wish I had haste, like some way to get some value in. But if the format has a lot of removal in it, I could see this seeing play. Usually Phoenixes kind of thrive in that setting. As we had like the... Oh man, I'm not even going to try to butcher names at the moment, but there has been a few Phoenixes as of recent. Again, I can see this being more delegated to the sideboards. I'm not sure if it's something I want to main board, which is a 4/4 for 4. But it's got flying, so... It's kind of... This one's more dependent on what you see people playing with. More so than trying to just like instantly slam into the deck because you want it to. Because I don't think it's doing quite enough there. I was going to move on to this card, but I want to talk about it last. Because I think this is probably the best card out of the lot. So we're going to save it. Then we have Godzilla Primeval Champion. First Godzilla. Well, first normal Godzilla that we'll probably be able to get a hold of. Which is an 11/11 for 9 mana. Big boy. Originally, Titanoth Rex. That's a weird looking thing. Dinosaur Beast has Trample. It's a green creature. Forgot to mention that part. 7 colorless, double green. Cycles for only a colorless and a green. And when you cycle it, put a trample counter on target creature. Not too bad. Again, limited. Pretty great. 2 mana. Good to give you something good to give something trample. You cycled it, so you get the draw card off it, replace it with something better. And then if you ever get the 9 mana unlimited, it's an 11/11. Not too many things can really deal with that at that point. Moving on to King Caesar, Awoken Titan. It is a 3/5 for 4 mana, 1 colorless, red, white, black. Originally Snapdax Apex of the Hunt. And it at least the creature type sort of makes sense with this, with it being a dinosaur cat nightmare. And mutates for 2 colorless, either black or red, double whites, so you have to pay 1 extra mana overall for creature with double strike. It's already pretty solid, like a 3/5 double striking for 4 mana. You can kind of sign me up for that already. And whenever this creature mutates, it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls, and you gain 4 life. This card's nutty. I imagine with some of the cards they release having very 3 mana costed or casting costed restrictions. They want you to be playing 3 colors. Best way for me to say it at this point. So I imagine we're going to probably be seeing some lands to help make that happen. Plus, we already seen some of the artifacts that help with this. So I don't think the casting cost is probably going to be as prohibitive, but tough. Ability is fantastic, though, because essentially you get a 3/5 for 5 mana with double strike that killed something and gained you life. So it seems like a really good card to help you race against the aggro decks. And I can see this being also just in an aggro deck, kind of akin to what we had with vehicles a while back. Or even just like a more mid-rangey style deck. Maybe something with removal. Like this and Batra together seem pretty sick. Now that I think about it. Because for 5 mana, you shoot something for 4, gain 4 life. 6 mana, you mutate it again. You get to shoot something again and kill another creature planeswalker. Oh. Why can't they be both blue? Because then I get my baby Godzilla to go with them. So I like it. Like, Limited, it's a bomb. Definitely pick it. Constructed, I can see this at least in standard. Next, Ghidorah, King of the Cosmos. Original creature is, hopefully I'm not saying this wrong, Illuna, Apex of Wishes. Is a 6/6 for 5 mana, 2 colors, green, blue, red. Beast Elemental Dinosaur. Probably should have dragged. We'll get past that point. Mutates for 3 mana, either red or green or double blue. And one thing I want to mention with this one, just like with Kingsies are, is if your primary goal is to focus on mutating it, you only really need to be a dedicated 2-color shell. If you're sticking around the mutating for these ones. And then if your deck can somehow produce like the other color, like you have to be white no matter what. But like your deck can be primarily black or red, and then if you have some way of producing black or red in your deck also, to randomly cast it for its normal cost. It's an option with these cards. But it has Flying Trample, and whenever this creature mutates, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land permanent card. Put that card onto the battlefield or into your hand, in case you needed it to be casting. But for the most part, you're probably just going to be slamming that thing on the table. Limited, super duper bomb. Pick it all the time. Constructed, it's kind of pricey, but you do get free cards. And Commander, this thing seems awesome because you're playing big expensive things in Commander anyways. Seems like a win. It's also legendary, which makes it even better because then it sounds like actually a pretty cool Commander to do around. I think my only problem is for Commander, if I want to get back in, it's 3-color, and God, I don't want to pay for that mana base. Moving on to Biolante Plant Beast form. Original creature was Nethroi, Apex of Death. Sure. It's a 5/5 for 5. 2 black, white, black, green. Legendary creature cat, Nightmare Beast. Mutate. 4 colorless, green, white, double black. Or green or white, double black. Death Touch, Lifelink. Not too bad. When this creature mutates, return any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. It's expensive. I'm going to say that right off the get-go, because there's 7 mana to mutate this thing. Commander seems fantastic. Limited, bomb, definitely grab it. Constructed, if you're like a dedicated self-mill shell, this card actually seems really good. I don't know how many, you probably want to play a lot of this kind of card. But then again, the way the ability reads, it kind of seems like something that'd be good in like some kind of combo shell. Because you could just get all the creatures back and just kind of go off at that point. If you need a certain number of stuff. Kind of akin to Protein Hulk. Not as good as Protein Hulk. We don't talk about that card. But reminds me of, it gives you the same kind of flavor. Next, Rodan, Titan of Winged Fury. Original card is Vadrok, Apex of Thunder. It's a 3 mana, 3/3. It's America. Blue, red, white. Mutates for a colorless, either white, blue, double red. So 4 mana. Flying First Strike. Whenever this creature mutates, you may cast target non-creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. Awesome. Problem. Of course, 3 colors. So, to me, it's not bad and limited. Because you do get free stuff. It's kind of, if your deck's got lower casting cost things, not too bad. Constructed, I think, is where this guy is going to kind of shine a little bit more. Because a 3/3 for 3 flying a First Strike, not bad already. Because you see, like Mantis Rider kind of goes along the same thing. But then again, Mantis Rider also has the benefit of being human and haste. This doesn't have that. But you get to rebuy all your cheap burn spells and removal. So I can see this being the old Jeskai decks. I can see this being something in there. Because you could use your Snapcaster Mage, buy something. You may mutate this onto your Snapcaster Mage, buy something back again. Might be a little bit too cute, but sounds neat. Second to last, we got BioQuartz Space Godzilla. 6/6 for 5 mana. So already liking this. It's 2 colorless, black, blue, green. Original card was Brokos, Apex of Forever. Legendary creature, Nightmare Beast Elemental. That makes sense. Why is Biolante a cat? Anyways, mutate 2 colorless, Either blue-black. When I'm talking about the either, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but it's split mana. It's a split mana symbol, so you can pay one or the other. You don't have to pay both. And double green. It's trample, and you can cast Brokos from your graveyard using its mutate ability. Awesome. Again, limited bomb because no matter how many times they kill it, it's probably coming back unless they have some kind of exile effect. Commander seems pretty... I don't know about being the actual commander because it's cool that it's legendary, but you want it in your graveyard. Which, great, you don't have to put the commander back in the command zone when it dies, but it seems kind of like a little bit of a waste of slot for me if you're going that route. But, constructed, being able to turn a top deck mana dork or something into a 6/6 because this thing's in your graveyard doesn't seem too bad. Maybe a sideboard card against like heavy removal decks might be like a cool one of in some of those self-mill decks. Like the Golgari decks and Pioneer, the Delirium decks, something akin to that. But anyways, moving on to the one I think probably the best card to pick up out of the entire one if you're banking on value anyways. Again, I don't want to say I'm an expert in Magic or anything or even financing because for the most part I look at stuff and just like, why is this so expensive? But my little Timmy heart says this card's going to be great. And I want it to be great. Because for Godzilla Doom Inevitable, the Shin Godzilla card. Original card is Yaidaro, Wandering Monster, which is a giant turtle. But it's an 8/8 for 7 mana. It's a red creature, 5 colorless, double red. Trample Haste. Legendary creature, dinosaur turtle. That bothers me. It so bothers me. It's just like Shin Godzilla dinosaur turtle. I get it. Anyways. Cycles for 2. Now, 1 colorless, 1 red. So again, discard it, draw a card. But when you cycle it, shuffle into your library instead of your graveyard. If you cycled a card named Yaidaro, Wandering Monster 4 or more times this game, put it onto the battlefield from your graveyard instead. Do this before you draw. Now, you see that, and you're like, oh, I gotta cycle this thing 4 times before I can essentially play it for a cheaper cost. The way it's running through my brain is I think of a deck, if we're going with constructed, let's say like Modern Grixis, which is kind of like a more draw-go control deck with a couple of threats here and there. I think something like this would be phenomenal in that because, or even if you shift the deck around a little bit to literally just be a straight draw-go deck, so you just draw your card, say go, and you just react to whatever your opponent's doing. This card just pretty much goes, my opponent didn't do anything really relevant this turn. Cycle it, draw a card, goes back into my deck. Wait for another one to show up. So you're not stuck with... So your bomb that's in your deck isn't stuck in your hand when you can't play it, which is really awesome because usually that's not the case. Plus, if you play multiples of this, they got cycling. You just keep drawing and going with them. So, to really get the first bane out of the Godzilla buck, you've invested 1 extra mana, so you would have spent 8 mana total, but you would have drew 4 cards in the process. And then again, over the course of turns, it's kind of like what your deck's designed to do anyways. You just, every time it shows up, you cycle draw whenever your opponent doesn't do anything. Inevitably, just like the ability, because it's kind of like the footsteps. Finally, when you get to it, you're just casting 2 mana 8/8s with trample and haste to draw your card. That in a format like that, where your best removal is Fatal Push, Lightning Bolts, and Path to Exile, it only dies to 1 of them. And you only spent 2 mana on it, and it gave you value. I think this thing is amazing in that. You have to be in some kind of deck like that, though, I think, for this to really shine. Because you want a deck that could kind of draw it out. I want to say like the old Blue Moon decks might want something like this if they change the way the deck's designed a bit. Because this is not something you'd want with like a Thing in the Ice in your deck, I would imagine. But I definitely think it's the card that shines the most out of a lot of these, especially in more external formats. I doubt Legacy. But like Modern, Pioneer, I could see this thing doing some damage. And it would definitely be the one I would be trying to get 4 of. Because it's also a rare. So it might be a little bit cheaper to get than some of the Mythic Godzillas in the box topper. So if you can find it cheap enough, I would slam dunk on those. Especially the art's super pretty too. But that's it. Again, I'm going to probably try to get a hold of these sets. I was thinking about getting the booster box to crack some open. The problem is it's the collector's box. You only get 12 packs and there's 19 of them. Granted, you can only get 15 in the packs. But by boxing, I want to be able to get them all to begin with. Get a lot of them though, but then I don't want the extra cards because I don't really want to try to start collecting that again. Then again, I could sell the cards and just try to trade for them. Oh, let me know in the comment section below. If you guys be interested in maybe seeing like an unboxing like that where you could try to rip open some Godzilla cards, I might be interested in it. Maybe like that, or maybe like playing some Magic Arena and getting the cards on there and we could just be playing Godzilla decks all the time on Magic Online. Well, not Magic Arena. Magic Online is its own separate thing. That I'm not good. I have an account. Probably not going to worry about it on there, though. But let me know in the comment section below if you guys are super excited about this. If you guys have played Magic, you guys had some fun tournament successes or failures. God, I had some failures. It wasn't quite a Pro Tour, but it was a pretty big tournament. Played some pros there. It was a fun time. But at the time, it was like I was playing Burning Inquiry in Standard. Don't ask. Play tested a lot before the tournament. Had good matches against the popular decks. And then everybody was on red deck when I got there. Just like, I hate people. Anyways, help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, become a Ranger today. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.